Hi, everyone. Welcome to Seeing the Unseen, Storytelling with Photography and Poetry. I'm Christine, Director of Programs and Community Initiatives and the producer of the Hope series, and I'll be supporting today's session. This program is presented as part of our monthly Hope series, and each session draws on the innate power of the arts to foster mental health and well-being. If you have previously attended our monthly Hope series, welcome back. And if you're new, thank you for joining today. We're so grateful that you're here to create, learn, and grow together as a community. Our workshop today is scheduled for 1 hour and 15 minutes, and we will have designated times for questions and reflections during the session. However, if you have any clarifying questions before then, feel free to use them, put them in the chat, or use your raise hand function as needed. We welcome you also to use emojis in the reaction feature throughout today's session to foster connection and community in this virtual space. And we also encourage you to turn your cameras on if you feel comfortable doing so. We know how much active participation enhances the experience for all of us. If you're in need of tech support, please message me directly at any time during our workshop. Before we begin, we would like to acknowledge the Tongva Nation, on whose home and land the unceded territory of Los Angeles resides. And as we're reminded of our environment's vulnerabilities, we hold respect and gratitude for the Tongva people who still consider themselves the caretakers of this land. By their example, we're reminded of our responsibility to our planet and to one another. So I invite you, let's take a moment to reflect on and honor with gratitude the Indigenous communities of past and present on whose land you are joining from today. Thank you, everyone. Go. I'm going to go ahead and also post a native lands resource in the chat. Without further ado, please join me in welcoming today's facilitator, Ashley Blakeney. Ashley is a Los Angeles-based arts healing facilitator and a cultural leader whose work centers on creating spaces for connection, healing, and creative expression. As the executive director of the Crenshaw Dairy Mart and a graduate of the Arts and Healing Initiative Social Emotional Arts Program, Ashley brings deep experience at the intersection of arts, education, and community transformation. Ashley, we are thrilled to have you here with us today. Please feel free to take it away.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Christine. Let me get us set up. Hi, everybody. This is so exciting. I am so deeply excited and honored to be here with you all today. I am such a big fan of the Arts and Healing Initiative and also just so deeply grateful for this opportunity to do this in a virtual format. A lot of my loved ones from across the country are in the room today, so that feels very nourishing to me and very grounding to me. So thank y'all for being here. And for all the new folks, I'm so excited to meet you and share this practice with you. So today we're going to embark on a journey of storytelling through photography and poetry, or we can call it photography and prose, fiction, whatever style you love. But we will have a really fun hour together, and I hope that this is something that is deeply meaningful for you today, wherever you're at and how you're joining us. Um, a little bit about me, as Christine shared kind of my more official bio. I do want to just share some more of the fun things about myself outside of being a cultural leader and all the titles. I'm really just an art nerd at heart. I love music. I love pinball. I love to crochet. I love to cook. I love to dance. I love to watch movies. I love playing video games. And so I hope that there is a piece of connection there that we can find as we move through the day. This really stunning image of me is taken by our featured photographer who we'll be looking at today, Eddie Hemphill. And that is my cozy little music nook in my home that I deeply, deeply love. So I'm excited to share that image with you. This is a little bit about my practice. I've been a photographer since I was 15 years old. It's the first art form that I fell in love with. My great uncle gifted me my first camera, and he's been a guiding light in my practice since then. I studied photography in college alongside creative writing, specifically poetry. So this is really a merging of my two loves. And as I named, I've been a deep fan of the Arts and Healing Initiative for many years, and my time with them in 2015 really shifted the way I came to understand the power and the healing power of art, and specifically some through lines that we can find in photography and in writing. So that's just a little bit about the work that I've made over the years. And so today we're going to be specifically studying the work of a featured photographer that's very near and dear to my heart and one of my favorite photographers, Eddie Hemphill. He's a photographer, filmmaker, and creative producer whose work explores memory, identity, and the quiet echoes of history in everyday life. Moving between documentary and conceptual practices, his images often center Black life, cultural memory, and the emotional residue of place. His work has been exhibited in galleries and film spaces across the US, including Los Angeles, New York, and Honolulu, and he's been commissioned by organizations such as the ACLU, Planned Parenthood, and the Movement for Black Lives. Through his practice, Hemphill is interested in how images can hold stories, both seen and unseen, and invites viewers into deeper reflection and connection. So we'll be looking at some of his photographs today, and then we'll also share some links with you after where you can continue to see his work. So here's an overview of what we're doing today in today's workshop. As I named, I'm a really big music fan, and as a healing practice, meditation hasn't always been the most accessible form of grounding for me. So I've really turned to music visualization. So we'll do a little bit of that practice together. We'll spend some time learning about ekphrasis, which is the writing about art. We'll do a poem close study. We'll do some close looking at photographs. We'll have some time to write, and then we'll do some sharing and reflection. I will preface that I am naturally a very fast talker. It's because I grew up on the East Coast. And so right now I'm really trying to slow it down. So if at any point I am moving too fast or talking too fast or something's not clear, please just send a note in the chat and tell me to slow it down, and I'm happy to reset. So I just want to name that very transparently. So first we're going to do a guided listening session. And this is really a practice to just ground us a little bit, bring us into the space together. I've chose a short song, it's 2 minutes, and I'm inviting us to just listen as closely as we can. I will walk us through some guided thoughts. I invite you to grab some headphones if you feel like it would be a more immersive listening experience, and to keep a pad and paper next to you to jot down whatever it is that comes up in this time. So you have the full option of keeping your eyes open or closed. You can be writing during, or you can be just in your full listening moment and write afterwards. And these are just some guiding questions that will stay on the screen as we listen. What am I hearing? Am I hearing one instrument or sound more than another? Am I hearing a particular phrase repeated? Is this pitch too high or too low for me? Is there a memory charged by this song? What am I noticing around me? Am I hearing birds in the background or other people talking? What am I seeing, either directly in front of me or in my mind's eye? Am I picturing giants dancing in a forest? Are there children playing tag? What am I feeling? Am I feeling the grass or the ground beneath my feet? Is there a specific chill that's running through my body? we're really just going to engage our senses. So I will be muted. We'll just have 2 minutes of listening and then we will reconvene. Okay. I will give us just a minute if you want to take a second and write some things down. And if there's anything in particular that's coming up for you that you would like to share, I invite you to put some reflections in the chat. If there was a particular image or feeling, or even if it was something that you didn't enjoy or didn't work for you, anything that you would like to share, please feel free to put in the chat, but I'll give you another quiet minute to write some reflections. Okay. All right. I'm gonna move us along, echoing the funky bass lines. Beautiful. This exercise serves as both a grounding for us, but is also a practice in ekphrasis writing and ekphrastic writing, as we are writing in this moment about a song. So maybe not a particular image, but we are practicing writing about a song. So this is also a nice little softball to get us ready for what we are embarking on. Love these reflections. Ooh, busy bee. I love that. Wonderful. I will move us along. Please continue to reflect in the chat. And if something's resonating with you, please feel free to heart it and thumbs it up. A little bit about our agreement and process for shared understanding today. As we will be doing close looking of images. An image and an artwork is not complete without its audience. This is just a gentle reminder as folks that are looking at and engaging with artwork The pieces we write today may be subjective and infused with our personal stories. Our stories are respected and welcome here. We will collectively spend time seeing, time looking, time writing, time reflecting and sharing, but ultimately this creative time is for you. And I invite you to participate in the ways that feel most comfortable and needed. Be uncomfortable with uncertainty. Our writing and descriptions and interpretations may not be in complete alignment with the photographer and his intention, and that's okay. Ekphrastic writing is sometimes referred to as introverted writing, as ekphrasis can be a mode to escape the self while focusing on an artwork. This practice is an invitation to infuse as much or as little of yourself as you would like to in this writing. Um, and this is a reminder to just create with the energy of the moment. When you respond to the act of looking and not at the artwork, but into the artwork, you're positioning yourself to respond to something outside of your usual experience. And this is a direct quote from our source material today, the ekphrastic writer. These last two pieces feel particularly important as this workshop is presented in a series around hope and resilience. And I think right now, as folks are going through a variety of experiences and lived experiences, this really provides an opportunity for us to be creative and work a muscle that is healing and beneficial to our spirits and may not necessarily ask us to turn inward all the time, but really ask us to engage with the things that we're seeing in our surroundings and our outside world. So I hope that you find something meaningful from this time. So what is ekphrasis? This is my favorite word to say, obviously. So as I mentioned, this book featured here, The Ekphrastic Writer, was a primary source in just my research around this practice. Ekphrasis is a literary description or a commentary on a visual work of art. That is the baseline definition of it. I truly believe this is something that we practice in our everyday life without knowing the terminology of it. Whether you're at a museum and you're journaling about what you saw, or you're watching a film and you're writing a review about it afterwards, I really think that we are practicing this form of writing in our day-to-day lives. And this is just putting some language and definition around it. Through the imaginative act of narrating and reflecting on the action of a painting or sculpture, or in this case, photograph, the poet or writer may amplify and expand its meaning. And then here are just a few quotes from this particular book. Ekphrasis denotes an explicit connection of the writing to an artwork, whether the text relationship with the artwork is literal, figurative, or conceptual is up to the writer. And so kind of breaking that down a little bit more, we can literally be writing about what we're seeing directly in front of us. We can be writing about what we're not seeing at all. We can write about what we're feeling as we're looking at something. It really is up to our personal experience with the artwork. And as I mentioned, it's a form of introverted writing. And then this is one of my favorite details is that ekphrastic writing does not have to involve the entire work of art. It could be a singular detail. So for example, if we're looking at an image of a beach, which we will be shortly, we can literally write about the perspective of a grain of sand. It can be that minuscule of a detail or something broader. It's whatever resonates most with us. So these are some conventions of ekphrastic writing. These are basically different ways to approach a topic. I will put these in the chat when it comes time for us to write so that you all can reference back to it. But we can look at an image or a piece of artwork and either address the artwork in its entirety, treat only a detail of it. We can narrate the artwork, personify the artwork, interpret it, object to the artwork. We can be in disagreement. We can address the artist. We can give voice to the artist. We can describe the artist's process. We can imagine the life of the model. We can give voice to the model. We can remark on the individual moment of viewing. So where we are in that current moment of time that we are looking at it. We can write about the absent, what's not visible, what is not present. We can describe the form or shape of the artwork. We can think about the sound elements of the artwork. We can provide and respond to historical context, or we can really take what we're seeing and pull in personal associations and write about ourselves. That's always an option. And so I want to take a second and then we'll get into it to just talk about how we look at images in this context. I know that I don't know how many of you are artists or in the art world. A lot of folks have different approaches to how we look at images, but for this moment, this is how we will look at images together. We'll think about, what are we seeing? What do you see in this image? What do you notice in this image? What are you wondering about the image? What do you see that makes you feel that as connected to your wonder? What is the story that this image is telling? What choices did the photographer make to capture this specific image? What does the artwork depict? How is the subject represented? We can describe the lines, the shapes, the use of space, colors, and textures. We can describe the elements, balance, proportion, scale. How are the subject and artist tools or techniques related? And what personal memories might this artwork evoke? So when we get to the point of looking at images and as we're moving through the rest of this time together, I love full participation. So I will be inviting folks to come off mute, put in chat, like let's have a dialogue about what we're seeing together. So as an example piece here, I had a very dear, dear friend, Naji Omar, an incredible poet, write a piece just for us today. And he really took the time to look at and sit with and respond to this is an image of mine from a few years ago. And so, Naji, if you wouldn't mind coming off mute, I would love for you to read this for the group and we can kind of hear it together. And I'll scroll along with you.
Happy to. Reflection after Ashley Blakeney. And what if I told you you were just a wave, not a head full of hair, not a body adorned in silk, in this moment, just a wave, like light, like sound, like water, hitting a dividing point between who you've known yourself to be and shattered glass. And what if I told you this is why you cannot pass through? This is why you keep bouncing back. Sorry, someone in the chat said it's hard to hear over the music. Is anyone else having difficulty hearing?
Is there music playing?
No,
I don't
okay.
hear music.
Makai and Ellen said that we're good.
Okay.
All right, I'm sorry. And what if I told you this is why you cannot pass through? This is why you keep bouncing back. Because you spent what feels like your whole life begging to be silence, making things you wish others wouldn't see, like your right eye, or the grief you cradle there, like the blisters on your hands from all the times you pieced yourself back together after heartbreak. And what if I told you you were not just a footnote in some past lover's story? You more like holy, like some kind of miracle, but instead you just stand here before some frame chipping away, not as woman, not as man, in this moment, just something too glorious to be contained, like constellation, like prayer, dancing on ancestors' tongues. You've been standing in front of you for 2 seconds and 30 something years flash before you. What I mean to say is, in this moment, you are not who you were, not even who you are. Instead, you are urgent. Even more, you are becoming. And though your lips are still taking shape, though it may be hard to see beyond this smudge before you, I promise there is a version of you waiting on you, already smiling. Outside your window, you hear them, a choir of birds, a lullaby in the wind, sweet, sweet music. And finally, the music plays again.
Thank you, Naji. Um, Ooh, sorry, I got a little bit of chills. Thank you, Najee. I just have to detour for a second and say that Najee wrote that poem in like 2 days. I sent him a bunch of images and said, "Can you write a poem for this workshop?" And he did that in 2 days. And I'm so grateful. Thank you. While I reset, I'm gonna pull up the image, singular, like just the singular image, so you all can look at it. And then I would love to talk through what the ekphrastic pieces of that poem. What connection points did you hear to the image? Um, what feels most aligned in that way. So this is just the singular image, and I think if you all want to call back to, and you're welcome to come off mute if you like, or you can continue to utilize the chat. But if there are any moments that you would like to explore that connected the piece to the photograph.
I noticed that he started off with the wave and the wave from the curly hair. That's what struck me. There was an immediate connection. And there's more, but I'll save some for some other people that would like to comment.
I also noticed like there was the lines of the poem about hiding the right eye in the hands, and in the image I see like a reflection over the right eye so you can't see it, and the hands below the mirror reading.
Thank you. Linda, you're welcome to chime in.
The first thing that I thought of is there's an image that I've seen on the internet of a cat looking in the mirror, and you see a lion. So it's kind of telling us that, you might see something when you look in the mirror, but other people that look at it see you differently. They see a different you.
Any last thoughts or reflections before I move us along? Wave, prayer, music, sound, silence, holy. Thank you, Madonna. Thank you, Daisy. Becoming, I love that. I think one note to add as the photographer of this image that I got chills and was really moved by is that this image is from a friend of mine at her wedding. And it was a wedding on the ocean. So literally outside of the window is the beach. And Najee did not have that context, but I thought it was really moving that he pulled in some wave imagery and kind of still channeled that feeling into the piece, which I think is really stunning. We are locked in. Made me feel like I knew the subject, but then realized might be complete fiction. I love that. Wow. Amazing. Thank you. I'm really moved by this experience. So thank you all. Okay, so now we're gonna jump into looking at some of Eddie's images, and I'm really excited to do this with you all. And I will just as a reminder how we look at the images, right? We're thinking about you all have just done that practice, right? Like, and you saw how Najee did. He looked at the image and pulled certain details. So what I would love for us to do together is I'm going to spend a few minutes on, we have about 4 images, and collectively we'll just talk about what we're seeing, what we're noticing, what stories we're feeling from the images. And then once we get through all of the images, we'll have a chunk of time to write, and I'll have all the images on one screen, and you all can pick which one you would like to write to. But I would love for us to go through the close looking exercise together. So we'll start with this image. And again, you all are invited to come off mute, write things in the chat, whatever, however you feel moved. But we'd love to just, what are you seeing? What are you feeling? What are you noticing? What colors, shapes? This is your time. Mm. I will read some of these out loud, so folks see what's going in the chat. And Alta, thank you for that beautiful reflection. That's so moving. Jennifer's naming, it's high noon on a hot day. Where is everyone? Juliet says the sky blends into the sea. It's muddy. Lolo says I'm feeling free. Linda, I'm noticing what's not there. It's a beautiful day, but where are all the people? Marshall, the calm colors from the beach to the dreariness of the day. Stephanie, I'd love to know the timeline. Did these chairs get placed around, maybe tables, chairs get placed around this group of people, or did they push through the setup to gather in the middle? Kaya's definitely noticing the empty chairs, but also the group of people in the middle who are huddling together. I wonder where this is. White caps meet white umbrella tops. Helen reminds me of better times. Absolutely. Lori merging with the sea of umbrellas and white caps with the ocean spray as the mist merges into the sky. Ooh, mist merging into the sky. That's a poem. Ellen, I'm searching for footprints. Denise, it must be colder temperatures. Jay, Auntie's on vacation in the 80s. I know that's right. Micaiah loves the orange. Lisa, I'm curious about the cars in the surf. Kimberly, folks in the water would 100% join. The white umbrellas, white waves. 6 a.m. 1962, Italy. These are like poem titles. You all, I think the poem's already being written, and I'm honestly, this is a nice group poem practice. So this is incredible. Clouds sleeping on the sand, waiting for the kiss of a friend. Umbrella of wishes. Hazy muted. Oh my goodness. Hazy muted color palettes, like a memory coming back to the surface. I think the cars are blue umbrellas. Oh, interesting. Okay. So many thoughts about what beachfront represents: vacation, privilege, freedom, edge, escape. This picture feels old. It does. Wow. I love it. Beautiful, beautiful reflections. Thank you all. Looking at this image, I feel the freedom of the ocean, yet I also feel the breeze of the cold, gloomy weather. I interpret this as being in a place of undiscovered territory and a new place to explore and a new season of life, and the breeze reflecting as the discomfort of being in such a new space. Incredible. All right, this is incredible. Keep jotting and thinking. I'm going to move us to the next image and we'll do the same practice. Okay, so take a moment, take this in. Feel free to put more things in the chat and I will read them out in a minute. Altagracia says, this makes me think of a portal. Linda, we each have our own path. Be free to follow it. Jennifer, it makes me long for cool air. Me too. Christine, soft haze, threshold, movement away or toward. Corinne makes me think of a journey into deep reflection. Daisy, early morning before sunrise, waiting to escape and be indulged in nature, healing and rejuvenation. The world that Christine says, the word that comes to mind here is determination. Stephanie, I feel cooler looking at the mist and can hear those footprints. Love the sonic edition. Kimberly, morning walk in the mist. Are we going towards or leaving from? Optimism. Fog covers the branches in a coat of whispers. An unexplored path. Wow. She didn't know why she was there, only that she needed space. That resonates. Lori, peaceful walk along the bay's interior of the path. Lolo, a place to walk, think, and reflect. Terry, solitude with an earthly smell. And noticing the incorporation of senses. This is amazing. Brandy, Rocky carrying the One Ring to Mount Doom. I love Lord of the Rings. Oh my goodness. Sorry, that you triggered something there. I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan. Yes. Juliet, I see cables or some sort of strings intersecting in the trees, the human version of trees stretching branches. Kimberly embracing change, like the changing of the leaves facing a certain and uncertain anyway. Denise, I feel the mist and I'm unafraid to wander forward into it. The path will lead me just beyond into the place I need to be. Lisa, passages climbing pathway into the undetermined. Terry, starting your day with optimism and calmness. Soraya, the gloom representing a future and the importance of persistence, even if we can't see what's ahead. Micaiah, a portal of possibility. Polly, walking toward limitlessness, possibilities. Oh no. Okay. I'm sorry, Goretti. We'll find a way to. Oh, you see. Great. Perfect. 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 Ellen, picturing the early morning, setting the day with solitude. Charlene, please don't leave me. Lori with the pyramid reaching upward. Eden, the art of forest nature, always being unapologetic, always being awe-inspiring, always being life-saving. Incredible. Okay, let's move to our next image. Same process, take a moment, look, observe, notice, and then you can drop in the chat what you're seeing. All right. Please continue to drop them. Lisa added one in about the path picture. The negative image of the path and portal edges together form an arrow pointing onward and upward. Amazing. Jennifer, the juxtaposition of work and play, privileged and not, black and white in color. Alta thumbs that up. That's so interesting. Wow. Okay. A life interrupted, pulled away for something greater, and leaving the personal behind. Charlene, something about the brown clothes triggered me. Cloth triggered me. Stephanie, must be nice to have time for pool. Madonna, the sound of one word, tumbling. Christine, I wonder if this is in a basement or underground. Such a contrast between the pile of clothes, the clean laundry room, the suited figures playing pool. Terry, oh no, someone touched my clothes and did not fold them. Juliet, the smell of stale cigarettes from time long ago, a bizarre photo of men around a pool table echoing the laundry table. Jay, making a way. Kimberly, what must be done for me? Goretti, male lives versus female lives in the good old days. Christine, clean, angular, directed through space, spinal waiting. Lori, a heap awaiting within 50s vibe. Eden, piles of laundry, both clean and dirty, never stops haunting me. Wow. All right, I will take us to our next and final slide. Alta immediately, oh wait, let me go. Denise, rat pat distraction can't save me from the toil of more laundry. I forgot my laundry, but it's still there. Alta immediately brought me to the weight of being a child and having to help my mother at the laundromat. Caitlin, me too, and the old TV stuck on the same channel. There's so many meanings in that line right there. And then this is our final image that we'll do the close looking with. So these are actually two separate images, but I do think they are having an interesting conversation. So I wanted to present them together in case folks would like to write about them together when it comes time. But you're welcome to look at them as individual or together and then put your reflections in the chat. Okay. Corinne, I think this may have been for the laundromat one, or both, honestly. But for the laundromat, I believe open and closed doors. Jennifer, the male elbow pointing at the woman's head pops for me. Lori, hurrying to get to another nowhere. Madonna, how many steps up before we are welcome to sit for the journey? Christine, there is some sort of interplay between what is seen and unseen, what is visible and what is in the shadows. Christine, waiting my turn for a journey, hazy days, anticipation. Juliet, moving from light into darkness, voluntarily being swallowed by the metal monster. Denise, where are we really going? Ellen feels like a quiet, intimate moment that I'm not supposed to see. Lori hurrying, girl, that's poetic. Oh my God. Stephanie, so curious what's in the little bag she carries. What an interesting detail. A special moment together. The one on the left almost feels passive, like watching the train pass you by. The one on the right feels immersive and reminds me of the rush that comes with boarding a train and going on a new journey. Kimberly, maybe returning to reality after some fun. Okay, I'm gonna, ooh, run, he's coming. Ooh, and perhaps going farther together. Okay, I'm gonna pause us there. I'm going to present to you all the images we just looked at. And I know we're kind of in the home stretch of our time together. And so, what I'm going to invite you all to do, because I would like to, before we end the session, hear voices. So, I'm going to give us about 5 to 7 minutes. I'll check in at 5 and see how we're doing. And I invite you to pick one image to write a little bit more deeply about. Unless you want to write haikus and write about all the images, it is totally up to you how you would like to move through this process. But I'll give us about 5 minutes. We'll write about images, and then my hope is that a few folks will share with us before we close. So I will start a timer, and happy writing. Okay, it's been about 6 minutes. I think I want to make sure we have a chance to kind of hear from some folks before we have to wrap up. Is there anyone who would like to come off mute to read? And or if you put your poem in the chat, please let me know if I have permission to read it aloud. But I would also love to hear some voices if anybody would like to share. Grayson, why don't we start with you and then I'll read Elias.
Can you all hear me okay?
Yes. Will you, as you're
Yeah.
reading, will you let us know what image you are referring to?
Um, yeah, so I really couldn't pick just one. But I kind of saw them all as one big picture as they are on the screen. Technically, a collage of pictures is what I observed. Um, and I would just preface that I think as I was going through the process of noticing, what stood out to me the most was the color grading that our friend chose, and how it inspired everybody to kind of see it in nostalgia and something that spoke to them, almost like vintage. And so what I wrote is the simplicity of routine and how we find our day to day passing us by, carrying us along, the colors that mark our memories, bookmark chapters until we land and pause and leave the walls, the caves, for the coves, to have the zephyrs breathe lightly, just brushing the tips of baby hairs with misty breath, the light, revitalization before the dryer stops and the washer starts the rinse cycle again.
Thank you so much, Grayson. That's really incredible. And I appreciate your approach of exploring them as a collage and as a way to look at this as like a body of work. I really feel really inspired by that. Thank you. I will read Elias, and then if there's anybody else who would like to come off, we can do that as well. Elia, will you share what image you wrote to?
Yes, I wrote to the one with the person jogging through the trees.
Oh, perfect. Okay. And do you want me to read it or do you want to read it?
Oh, you can.
Okay. Great. What if you could run into the future's blank page, disappear through an open window framed in forest, kick off your past like unwanted grit clinging to your heels, see how the path curves behind you, snake skin you shed with every step. Tomorrow misted in a fog of uncertainty, white with possibility, fear burned away with the night. Beautiful.
Thank you. It's fun to hear your work in somebody else's voice.
Thank you for allowing me to read that. Really, really beautiful. Is there anyone else that would like to read their own or wants to indicate for me to read theirs from the chat? Juliet?
I can read mine. I did the image of the beach. The city lies half hidden, mocking through the sea that soaks into the sky. Humid like spit, phlegm and snot, hot and wet, like last September. But if I close my eyes, I can forget. If I close my eyes, it's almost like I'm in the desert. If I close my eyes, it's almost like you're next to me.
Can I ask you to read that one more time?
Yes.
I would like to hear that again.
The city lies half hidden, mocking through the sea that soaks into the sky. Humid like spit, bland and snot, hot and wet like last September. But if I close my eyes, I can forget. If I close my eyes, it's almost like I'm in the desert. If I close my eyes, it's almost like you're next to me.
Thank you. Really stunning. Thank you so much. We'll take one last one. Again, if anybody wants to share in their voice. Oh, Jennifer, you're on it. Will you name which image you wrote to? And then we'd love to hear from you.
It's a really different version of the beach, and that's why I thought I'd share. Where is everyone? What's wrong? I chose not to listen to the news today because it's a holiday, a day off, and this time I decided to go to the beach instead of burying myself in a novel or mindlessly going down a YouTube rabbit hole. Where is everyone? Home with explosive diarrhea. Did more good. It's toxic. But wouldn't there be a sign posted or a lifeguard getting those people out of the water? Maybe they too missed the news. Where is everyone? Why did I come? I did bring my novel. I can get lost in there. I can collect rocks and hunt for sea glass. I can build a sandcastle, take photos, eat my sandwich. And if on my way home I discover something terrible has happened, at least I'll have enjoyed my last day.
Incredible. Thank you, Jennifer. What a fun example as well of how these poems can also serve, just as artwork can serve as like a moment of time and a historical marker. I think some of the things you slid in there also are really anchoring us in the present moment, especially with that very fun parasite. Amazing. I am so grateful for all that you shared. I am gonna take us through a quick reflection, but I did want to invite Eddie's here. I wanted to invite him to say a couple things just after listening to all the beautiful work you all have written. So Eddie, I don't know if you want to hop off mute and say anything.
Hey y'all, can you see me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have much to say. It's like a little overwhelming to kind of see this, but it is really, really special. Y'all have like made me see my images in a new way, and I'm gonna, which is kind of crazy because I've sat with them for so long. But yeah, these, funny enough, these are part of a kind of an ongoing series called A Good Life is Mostly Coming Home, which is a series that's documenting my travel over the last 2 or 3 years, with the intent to build some of these emotional connections across space and time and sort of um, explore loneliness as like a shared experience. And so it's really interesting to see what you all pulled out. But yeah, that's going to be sort of a web series or a web exhibition that does marry poetry to these images. That's going to come out pretty soon. So yeah, thank you all for taking the time to sit with them.
Thank you, Eddie. Amazing. So in our last moment before I pass it over to Christine to do housekeeping, I just would love to hear, how was this experience for you? How did you all feel kind of moving through this process, learning about ekphrasis, and hopefully you can now see how we are literally practicing this in our day-to-day life every day. But I would appreciate hearing any reflections you have either in the chat or verbally. Go ahead, Micaiah.
Hey,
Huh?
this was incredible. Thank you so much for doing this. I feel so expressive, and I love just like learning new terminology of things that I feel like I do every day. I'm always looking at something and extracting meaning from it. And so, yeah, I don't know. I feel like this is gonna help me get more into my writing bag, which I have been like working on for a while now. So thank you so much.
Thank you for being here. Polly? or maybe not. Um, any other thoughts or reflections? Brandy?
Hey, thank you so much for this. I've been doing this type of practice forever and had no idea that there was a fancy word for it. So thank
Right.
you. But yeah, it's really inspiring and it woke something up. And it's just awesome to see so many people here to kind of remind you that you're not alone in this like journey of writing and art and kind of carving it from yourself. So thank you all.
Thank you, Brandy. Thank you for being here. Charlene?
I just wanted to express my gratitude for this because I just wrote my first poem ever in my life. So, and it was really fun. Thank you
Oh,
so much.
thank you, Charlene. Oh, I might cry. I'm such a crier, but that's so exciting. Oh, I'm honored that you wrote your first poem in space with us, and what an amazing group to be doing this with together. M?
It's hard to follow that, but I was just going to say thank you for creating such a space. I think sometimes poetry in particular and kind of marrying poetry and art can feel very inaccessible, and so thank you for making it accessible. And I thank you to all the folks who shared beautiful poems. Thank you to the folks who read and wrote beautiful poems, and thank you for sharing your photography. Just appreciate the space, and thank you for curating all of this wonderfulness. So thank you.
Thank you. I'm also trying to like read these in the chat, but I did save it because I want to read these later. But yeah, thank you all. Thank you for being here. Thank you for these reflections. This is really meaningful to me. I haven't been in this practice in a while of facilitating, and it just I feel very supported in this place. So thank you all for the mutual support as we've moved through this. And I'm so happy that this has been an awakening for some of us. I think sometimes we forget that we truly are creative beings at our core, and that these are practices that are so healing for us, but also we are not alone, and that we have community, whether it's virtual or around us, or whether it's just ourselves and our own thoughts. Like I think we deserve to be creating all the time. It's a rite of passage. So thank you for being here. I'm so honored. I'm probably gonna go cry now because I'm just so moved by everything that you all have done. And Christine will share after this my contact info, so feel free to reach out. I'm seeing some really fun ideas here, and I'm so excited that folks are thinking about photography and poetry and how writing and photography go hand in hand. So I'm happy to chat with folks as well. All right, I will pass it back to Christine to close us out.
I just want to start by expressing such deep gratitude to you, Ashley, for leading us through such a meaningful experience today. Thank you so, so much. Like Ashley shared, we'll be sharing both Ashley and Eddie's contact info as well as some additional resources via email after today's session in case you want to stay in touch. I also want to take some time just to thank our donors and our collaborators. This series is supported in part by your generous donations and by the Los Angeles County Department of Arts and Culture. If you're able to donate today to continue supporting the Hope series, you're welcome to do so by scanning the QR code on the screen. And we'd also like to acknowledge the Wellbeing for LA Learning Center for including our Hope series archive as part of their free public offerings. And lastly, thank all of you for joining us and for participating today. It's been so special.